My computer's running slow, sorry. Okay, we're ready.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, and I have the time as 5:31. And I'd now like to call to order the special meeting of the City of College Place. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Councilmember Cleveland.
Present.
Councilmember Peterson.
Present.
Councilmember Nyhagen was having computer issues. Councilmember Selby.
Present.
Councilmember Sherman.
Present.
Councilmember Trope.
Present.
And Councilmember Bobbitt requested to be excused. So we do have a quorum. And with us as well, of course, we have Mayor Hernandez, City Administrator Rizzatello, Finance Director Carlton, Deputy Clerk Holm, and myself.
Great. Thank you. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
Of the
United
United
States
States
of
of America,
and to the republic
Republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
the God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Sorry, forgot to prep the recording.
That's okay. Thank you. That worked. Okay, so we're going to just move on to action items. We have two of them today. The first is the Bond Council Service Agreement, and Mr. Carlton is going to present that.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this special meeting. Both these agenda items relate to the funding through USDA RD for the Southwest Sewer Project. We called this special meeting because we need these two items completed as soon as possible. We want to possibly go to bid at the end of August on the project, and USDA needs about a week to process the additional information we have before they'll give us authorization to bid. So two of the requirements that we need your approval on, this is the first one. It's establishing our bond council for the project. If you recall, our agreement with USDA is broken up into two portions. There's a loan portion, which is $2.838 million, and there's a grant portion, which $3.326. So for the portion of the loan, that's these required documents that we have in front of you today. The first one is establishing a bond council. We have to hold a bond on our loan with USDA once that's finalized. And we've dealt with, they're now called Foster Garvey, but they were previously Foster Pepper, who has completed the last two bonds for the city. In reasons of expediting the agreement with USDA, we went to them and asked them strictly as a sole source. And I provided that sole source information in the back of your packet. They have extensive experience with the city, and time-wise, it wasn't practical to get an RFQ and get competing bids. But the dollar amount that they're budgeting at $14,500 is under the estimate of $15,000 by USDA. Is there any questions on this one?
All right. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments? We're going to start with Mr. Cleveland.
Not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Peterson?
Not at this time.
Ms. Selby?
I would just comment that I've been really pleased with their work in the past, and there's no way we would ever want to do it without one. They wouldn't let us, but we wouldn't want to even if we
Yeah.
could.
All right. Ms. Sherman?
No questions.
And Mr. Trope?
No question.
Okay. So if you have any other additional questions or comments to the process, please raise your hand with the little button. So is there a motion? Ms. Sherman,
I'll make a motion to approve the contract for bond counsel services with Foster Garvey.
thank you. Do we have a second?
Councilmember Selby, second.
Great. Any other additional discussions? Okay, seeing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, the vote's unanimous. The ayes have it and the motion is passed. Moving on to item 2, Mr. Carlton will now present the interim bank financing.
Yeah, and this also relates to the Southwest Sewer Project. And if I didn't say it in the first one for the bond council, both of these are required by the USDA contract. So we have to move forward with these. Now, another part of the requirement is, well, first I'll step back and just explain the contract with USDA. The USDA contract requires us to incur all spending, all sources of funding prior to using the USDA loan. And then finally, the last portion we can draw on is the USDA grant portion. So I don't know if you recall, but we have a number of financing that's going on in this particular project. The Port 09 grant for 400, the Department of Ecology for the design, that is 483,200, which half is grant. The Port 09, that 100% grant. Then we have the contribution from the city reserves of 516,000, and then the 2 USDA portions, the loan portion at the 2.838 million and the grant portion at 3.326 million. We also are currently in the process of getting approved for an additional $1 million loan from the Department of Ecology if it's required on the project. We're really not going to know until we get the bids back where we stand on total expenses for the project and the associated funding portions. So on the $2.838 million loan with USDA, we're required to have interim financing on that portion. Don't forget, like I just previously said, that this portion will be spent before the grant dollars will be spent. USDA requires us to have interim financing. We went out to 3 banks, Banner Bank, Wash Fed Bank, and Community Bank, and asked them for what they want to provide for the loan. Banner Bank came through on the amount of the loan, the $2.838 million at 2.41% interest for 24 months with some additional fees, a loan fee, and then there's another, I can't recall the acronym right off the top of my head, for $7,100. Washington Federal came in at 1.9% for a little bit longer. Well, I guess it's about the same period of time and a $5,000 free fee. Community Bank came in considerably higher at the interest rate at 5.25 and a percentage on the total loan amount for the fees. So honestly, it's pretty obvious that Washington Federal had the lowest rate and the lowest fees. So I'm recommending that we go with Washington Federal Bank for the interim financing on the USDA loan. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Carlton. Okay, so Mr. Cleveland, any questions?
No questions at this time.
Mr. Peterson?
You're muted.
Thank you. None at this time.
Oh. Ms. Selby?
None at this time.
Ms. Sherman?
None at this time.
And Mr. Trope?
No question.
All right. So if there's no further discussion, can I have a motion, or is there a motion? Excuse me. Ms. Selby?
It's Councilmember Selby. I move to authorize the selection of WaFd Bank as provider of interim financing for the loan portion of funding by USRDA on the Southwest Sewer Project. I'm sorry, is that USRDA or USRD? I think it's USRD. That's what I meant to move.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Councilmember Trope.
Thank you, Mr. Trope. Any further discussion? Questions? Mr. Peterson?
I'm a little surprised that, I don't know if we need to discuss this currently, but I'm a little surprised at Community Bank's response.
Yeah, and their prices have been quite competitive in the past. We have we have one loan with them now where they came in lower than USDA's amount at that time. Yeah, they were prime plus 2%, 2 or 3%.
For a short period of time. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, seeing none, the vote is unanimous. The motion is passed.
Yeah, and if I can just make a comment, that this information will get fed back to all the banks, so they'll see where they were at.
Okay. All right, any other business for good of the order? Nope. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Councilmember Selby, so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Councilmember Cleveland.
Thank you. If there's no objections, the meeting is adjourned at 5:42 p.m.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.